Yes, then welcome back to the World of Darts podcast, episode 4. Joined with Chris yet again. So first of all, Chris, how are you doing? Enjoying the darts?
Yep. This is my usual self. As always, same old boring answer. Just to annoy people with that. So yeah, very looking forward to tonight's podcast as well.
Yeah, tonight does have a very special element to it. But just take a first comment, from Kieran, just saying hello, guys. Big up to Kieran. And without further ado, we'll just do it now. There's no point waiting.
Just do it now.
Welcome to the stream, Phil Baz from Online Darts YouTube channel. A massive pleasure for coming on. So really do thank you for giving me this opportunity. And how are you, my friend?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Not a problem at all. Thanks for having me on.
No, massive pleasure. We will get into actual darts, but I have jotted down a few questions for you before we actually get into the real life darts. So the first question I have is how did you get into darts media to start off with? Obviously, you're all over the place in terms of interviewing absolute heroes that we love watching week in, week out. So how did you get into that first of all?
I wish there was a really glamorous answer, but there really isn't. It was a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, and a lot of pestering.
Yeah.
At the start, I wish there was like a real glamorous answer, and I did this and I did that, and it wasn't. It was a little bit of luck, just a little bit of balls, and just pushing on and running with opportunities when they arisen.
That's it. When you're in, when you want something, you have to understand that there's going to be a lot of falls to get the highs. Nothing's going to ever come, straight away and given to you. So that's a great example of, sticking at something. Like you said, pestering. You probably thought at times that he was getting on people's nerves, didn't you, by, constantly asking them?
Oh, absolutely. And look, I know a lot of people are always pushing for work, but to start with, you do so much free work as well. But if you're willing to stick it in there and do the hours, that it does come good in the end. But to start with, it is a hard slog.
Talking about that, then obviously getting into darts media, away from the media side of it, then what was your earliest memory of darts? What was the first thing that you remember from this beautiful sport that we love?
Again, I'm showing my age now, but going back, obviously I remember the split. So back then the PDC wasn't this glamorous machine it is now. When they first split, the BDO was still bigger. The numbers were bigger. They had Richie Burnett, who at the time was the best player in the world for that two and a half years. It was genuinely unplayable. So Burnett and Beaton, I go back that kind of time at Lakeside is kind of the stuff that I remember really, really early. I remember Phil Taylor getting battered on that first world final at the Circus Tavern. Dennis
Read about that, yeah.
Created a monster that night. He didn't like getting beat like that. So yeah, my earliest memories are around the time of the split and things like that.
Yeah, so obviously, like you said, at that time the PDC was nothing, to what it is now. Talking about the PDC, obviously it's massive now. We go into America, Hungary, Gibraltar, all corners of the earth. Did you ever envisage this happening? Sorry, when we had the split.
Not when the split happened. No, you couldn't. I was still a young kid then as well at the time, so I didn't understand what you do now in terms of money and everything that comes along with it. And look, people forget that in the early days of the PDC, they were losing money hand over fist. Players were paid in shares to start with because they didn't have the prize money to do it. And look, fair play for the players that sacrificed what they did to get it done. Obviously, it's worked out well for them, but he's done it in so many other sports. But Barry Hearn was the game changer. Is the thing. And until Barry came in, there was no guarantee the PDC were going to survive because of the amount of money they were losing. But since that day, it's just gone from strength to strength. And you look at the team Barry brought in around him as well, and look, he's taken it to another stratosphere, not just another level. It is literally out of the park what he's done with it, where he's taken it. We've seen PDC events in Oceania, America. We're going to Madison Square Garden for the first time this year. Dubai, Japan, China. It is literally, the growth is scary.
And you see that with some of the players coming through, don't you? Like Kai Fan Lung from Hong Kong. Obviously, the development of the CDC with players like Danny Lowry, Campbell, Baggish, and then you look at the Australian side of things with what Smith done at Ali Pali in December.
Well, before it was kind of, was darts a sport? It was always frowned upon as this pub game in inverted brackets. But now players can change their lives and their families' lives forever if you're good at it. The money on offer every year is just insane. Was it £15.5 million in prize money this year across the year? And if you can win a sizable chunk of that, the tax man's going to love you, and you're going to set up your family for forever, pretty much. You look at Gerwyn Price, that yes, he was the world champion, but off the back of that, it wasn't just waste of money. It was invested in properties. When you follow his Instagram, he's got a property business, so you can then generate money from your winnings. It's just unreal.
His partner's got a cafe as well, hasn't she? So he's put funds into that.
They've definitely got a cafe in Markham as well. So again, it's just reinvesting your money and having the capital to reinvest and make these business decisions.
Talking about obviously these big names, you're talking about Gerwyn Price, Peter Wright, and the massive names of the PDC. The next question I've got is, sometimes that first interview with a Price or with a Van Gogh and with a Peter Wright, do you feel nervous, or is it just I'm here to do a job sort of thing?
No, the first one, I was quite lucky. I still remember the very, very first proper sit down interview I did was with Glenn Durrant, and I'm still very, very good friends with Duzza now. So I kind of got broke in gently, but I still remember the first PDC event I ever went to as media was the Masters. And look, you're nervous. It's like, right, what can you say that's going to get a good response, but also not making yourself look like an idiot as well. And it's just something that you grow into and you get used to it. Also, the media room's a great place to be around. There's literally some fantastic people in there that help you. And when you're young and new to the game, that you can pick their brain. Obviously, Dan Dawson is fabulous at what he does, and you spend hours listening to him and what he does. And then you've got all the Sky guys, the ITV guys, and then all the other freelance journalists as well. So it really is a hive of knowledge that you can pick on as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought you might have said, a certain person when you first interviewed them, because like like a Price or Van Gogh, and that you might have thought, this is flattering that I'm sat here interviewing. But it's quite intriguing to hear that you don't really get fazed by it, because it is a job at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, you grow into it. Like I say, don't get wrong. That the first one, there are nerves and there's butterflies, but once you're in the swing of it and you've been doing it long enough, it's just second nature, and you just get used to it. And the players get used to having you around as well. That if there's someone new, or like the Premier League, for instance, that we get journalists from that area of the country coming that aren't at every event, and the players pick up on it straight away. They're like, "Oh, who's that?" Because the regular ones they're used to seeing time after time. So when there is a new face, the players clock it as well, and they're like, "Oh, okay," and stuff like that. So yeah, look, it's a great honour and a great privilege that also that the players take you into their circles as well, and you get to know them, not just the person you see on stage. I remember for a while when Gazzy was getting all his bad press, and that was the question asked most. Oh, what's he really like? I'm like, look, just because that you see that Gazzy on stage, the Gazzy away from the stage is one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet. But on that stage, that's his job, and he's doing what he does, and that's him going.
Not just that. I mean, we come from a rugby background where rugby's obviously a team sport. It's aggressive. Obviously, being Welsh, I really get quite upset the amount of booing that he gets and stuff like that. But look, it's naturally he's employed himself as that sort of. I think either you or Jack have said this on a previous live lounge, that he's just employed himself now as the sort of villain, and everyone just wants to beat him. They want to put him off, like a pantomime villain, really. Gazzy's turned into.
Don't even know what they're booing for now. Just one person boos and the rest just join in.
yeah, that's very true, actually. Chris, do you have any questions that you may want to ask? Obviously, because I don't want to totally steal the show here. This is a joint podcast, believe it or not.
Yeah, did you have any other job you were before you took this job?
Yes, I was a delivery driver for 10, 12 years. And like I said, it was a little bit of luck. One of my really good mates, Gary, set up his own business in sports media and sports social media to start with. And his words were, "You're a bit of a pest on social media. Do you fancy giving this a go?" And at the time, it was a genuine risk, leaving a job that was, look, it paid the bills and everything like that to the unknown almost. And you think about it, and I'm like, I'd rather regret something I've done than something I haven't done. So jumped into it, and that's how I met Tiz. So me and Tiz met before, obviously, online darts, and we've worked together for probably eight or so years now. And we worked for the same company. Back then, it was a company called SBAT, who were bought by Catena Media in the end, and that's how I got involved with live darts back in the time, because Catena Media bought them as well. So it was, I jumped into that role. And we look back now, we did some funny things. We did some things that we probably wouldn't get away with these days back then. But we just ran with it, and doors start opening.
Yeah. Well, it's a great barrier to smash, isn't it? It is a risk, but like you said, you'd rather, look back at something in 5 years' time and regret something, potentially been in a position to regret something that you've gone on to do, rather than say, "Oh, if I regret not going for that," sort of thing.
Oh, massively.
Right, that's the fanboy in me then out of the way. There is some actual darts that I want to put on the screen. So I have got an overlay, which is the draw. Oh, wrong one. Great there, Michael. A draw bracket of the last Premier League event, which Johnny Clayton went on to win. Got to the final in Cardiff. Obviously, as a Welshman, definitely wanted him to win that, but unfortunately he didn't. But looking at that, I'm going to take it off screen because obviously it's covering us. A few shocks, obviously, Michael Van Gerwen not winning, but the manner in which he defeated Peter Wright.
It was, and look, Peter Wright is playing fabulous darts. But if you look back over his career, and even this year, even last year, he's got one of them in the locker every now and then. When you look at it, yes, we see the eye-catching 113s and the match play displays where he's unplayable. But every now and then, there is one of them in the locker, and it just happened to appear in Cardiff. And look, Michael played really well. I think I said on Twitter at the time, it didn't feel like 102 average from Michael, but he was allowed to settle. He was allowed to play well through Wright, not. And look, the one person you can't let settle is Michael Van Gerwen. And that showed. But look, Peter will bounce back this week. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. But there are that game that he chucks in every now and then. Yeah,
definitely. The next bit to talk about is I keep doing I need to organise these so I get the right one. Is Johnny Clayton beating Michael Smith 6-3? Yes, obviously in hindsight it's good that Johnny went on to win it, but Michael Smith now 2 nights lost in the first round, both that form post World Championship that we were expecting, that sort of massive bounce. Maybe not happening 2 yet, but maybe a bit of a worrying sign for Michael Smith. 2 nights, 2 defeats.
Look, defeats are never good, but the performances haven't been bad. He still averaged, was it nearly 96 last week in defeat. So, look, those dips aren't there. He's just being outplayed by someone that's playing exceptional at the moment. So, look, Bully Boy is an absolute class act, and I still stand by it. I know we say it most weeks. It still, for me, is when, not if, he wins one of them. Too good a player not to. And like I say, the dip from the Worlds isn't too bad. He's still there or thereabouts at the Masters. It took a masterclass in finishing from Chisnall to beat him, so he's not doing an awful lot wrong.
Yeah. The third game, talking about that second game, Johnny Clayton, he did go on to win it. That's a final and a win for Johnny Clayton now. Sat himself on 8 points, which we'll see in a minute with the table. He's just in a very good place, isn't he, Johnny Clayton? And he's developed all areas of his game. He can do the Euro type event where you're playing a lot of games on one day. He can do the World Championship, going deep in that. He can do Premier League. Yes, obviously the Premier League last year wasn't this format, but he settled in well, hasn't he, Johnny Clayton?
yeah, look, confidence. That's all it is. When you win things, you go on a roll and you feel unbeatable. And since picking up the Masters last year, we all know where he's gone with it. And is there a sign of it stopping? Not anytime soon.
Well, talking about someone winning the Masters and then using that as a springboard, Joe Cullen 6-3 win over Wadey. Talk about Wadey first. Obviously, congratulations to him and Sammy for the announcement of a new baby, brother or sister for Arthur. But in terms of actually on the dartboard, he wasn't that good in the Euro Tour. Lost 6-0 in a day as well, I think, to Doet or Luke Peters, one of the two. Not looking that good in those Euro Tour qualifiers. The Players Championships, he was okay, and obviously, he's lost to Joe Cullen there. But that B game is too low for me for James Wade. Do you feel the same, or do you think it's just something he will get past? I think.
Look, I think there's genuine concerns right now. Wadey's best part of his game has always been his finishing, and that has been nothing short of world class. But right now, the scoring phase of his game has deserted him, and that is a kind of a worry because he was never the biggest scorer in the world, but now he's not even getting those opportunities on the combination finishes, which were his signature. So, yeah, look, right now, I struggle to see where James is going to pick up a run of wins. He might get one or get to a semi-final in the Premier League, but I don't see him going on to finals. I just don't think right now he's got that scoring phase of his game to threaten your Peter Wrights, your Garen Prices and Johnny Claytons.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, Wade, I think he will win one. I think maybe towards the back end of the Premier League where players...
Well, that's James Wade every year, isn't it? He ends up winning one major.
Yeah. But mostly the ITV ones. He must have an affiliation with ITV. but yeah, he's a well-spoken man. I know a lot of people on Twitter say that Wade is very boring. I've said it before. I don't think he fits the so-called darts profile. I just don't. I think he's a bit laid back sort of thing. But I do rate him in his press conferences. When he puts people straight. When they do call him out and stuff. I'm not going to mention. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but obviously Wayne Maddle did, call him out, and he didn't say it in an aggressive way. He just, laid out, the sort of markers there. But you said about Clayton, could Joe Cullen be on that sort of trajectory of Masters, getting into the Premier League, got to the final in Liverpool?
Well, Joe's always had this game to go and beat the very best. We saw it over the last few years. It's been inconsistent. When it's on, it is just a joy to watch. But there have been real signs the back end of last year on the Pro Tour and everything like that. He was doing a lot of damage, winning the Masters. Then he's gone to Wigan and picked up back-to-back Pro Tour titles. Again, confidence is sky high, and he's got one of those explosive games as we saw in the semi-final when Gezi looked as if he was in control, but just a run of legs from the Rockstar takes it away from Price.
Yeah, like I said, that Masters, I think that's going to be the sort of benchmark. If you can get into that top 24, unless they change it, obviously, and if you can get into the top 24 in the world, that's going to be the aim now. It's not going to be the 32. It's going to be, can I get into the 24? Can I get into the Masters? And can I, if I go on to win it, am I going to be in contention for the Premier League?
Well, the Masters have hit dull dust this year and the previous year in terms of the Premier League being announced, kind of like after the Masters. So you just wonder, can they hit dull dust for a third time next year? But fair play to Joe Cullen. I think, especially with what he's been through as well, absolutely. like with his family, etc. And tell you what, he could be another Clayton, but that remains to be seen, doesn't it, for the rest of the year? People would have predicted Johnny Clayton after winning the Masters not to probably win the trophies he did, like the Premier League, the Trophy, etc. So we just need to wait and see for the remainder of the year. But I have no doubt Joe Cullen's got the game for it. As long as he keeps it up, he could be well up there, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's definitely got the game. The last game of the quarterfinals, Gerwin Price, 6-3 win over Gary Anderson. I like I said, I want Gezi to stay as world number one. I know people have been telling me that you're delusional for thinking he's not going to hold the world number one. Peter Wright will take it off him, but I just the performance at the Players Championship in Wigan, I'm like, just extend that gap a little bit more. But from watching Gezi post World Championships, obviously he was he played a very good quarterfinal, against Michael Smith, was excellent in that one, but Smith was just hitting things at the right time. Can Gezi look, Peter Wright will be world number one at some point. Does Gezi need to drop down to world number two to get that fire back in his belly, do you reckon?
No, look, I just think the way the ranking works, that at some point all these boys are defending an awful lot of money, and then they have to defend it, and it's unlikely they defend it all. So look, it is a case of when Peter Wright becomes world number one, not if. Look, I think it arguably happens at the UK Open. Peter Wright's only defending, I think, £7,500 at the UK Open.
Yeah.
So I think that's when we get the switch over. Obviously, they could draw each other early doors, and it may not happen, but that's when I think it happens. No, I just think for Gezi, it's just a case of he came into this year a little bit undercooked. Took some time off after the Worlds with his family, after a grueling schedule. Why wouldn't you? And there were signs at the Pro Tour at the weekend. He's not a million miles away from the Gezi we all know, and I just think it's time on the board for him. That's all.
Yeah, talking about the other player in that quarterfinal, Gary Anderson. Obviously, a 6-3 defeat, but Gary is the type of player that will just get it done in these games, and I think the things that people say about Gary, that he doesn't care and stuff like that, I think he does. It's just sometimes, like, obviously, he didn't attend the Sunday. I think that's a regular thing, though, isn't it, with Gary not attending the Sunday? But he's just going to turn up in like the World Championships. Like I said to Chris before, he could be seeded 23rd in the World Championship and still get to a semi-final.
Yeah, completely.
On to the semi-final then. Wrong one. Johnny Clayton beat Michael Van Gerwen in a very good semi-final. I think Van Gerwen, like you said, Phil, is definitely slowly getting back to that Van Gerwen that we used to love and adore watching. But Johnny Clayton just seemed to he doesn't know when he's beaten at the moment, Johnny Clayton, which is a good attribute to have.
Yeah, look, it was one of those games. It was a stunning game to watch. Both of them gave it absolutely everything. And look, it was one of those ones where Johnny just found a run of legs, taking 110 as if it was on tap, and things like that. And Michael just fell short. But yeah, look, there are signs that the MVG is not a million miles away. But the Ferret at the moment is just literally on cloud nine and just running with every opportunity he's given.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, Michael did do well in the Pro Tour. Obviously, he lost to Heta, who was absolutely sensational on Saturday. But yeah, there's promising signs from Van Gerwen. The second semi-final, Joe Cullen, 101 average, 6-5 win over Gerwin Price. Watching that, I actually thought it could have been a lot more convincing from Cullen in that game. I think maybe at times he missed opportunities. A 6-5 win, but it's just showing that at the moment, these Pro Tours with this Premier League format, obviously Joe doing well in the Pro Tours, it just gives you the confidence to do well in this Premier League format, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Look, it's one of those ones when you're hot, and right now, is there anyone hotter than Joe Cullen? Maybe not.
Yeah. And that gave us probably, considering you're saying hot, the hottest final that probably we could have got between the Ferret and the Rockstar. Unlucky, well, not unlucky because he was absolutely outplayed by Peter Wright in Cardiff, but lost the first night. Johnny Clayton got revenge on that final curse, beat Joe Cullen 6-4. But it's just, like you said, both of those gave us a good game, to be fair, Cullen and Clayton.
Yeah, look, two great players. Look, the final was arguably a little disappointing after the two semi-finals, but Johnny just knows how to win games right now, and I felt at home the crowd were immense for both players in Liverpool. But ultimately, Johnny, when the opportunities come along, he doesn't pass them up.
Yeah. Well, we saw that in getting into the Masters. That was a massive opportunity to him. I might be wrong in saying this, but I think he was 18th in the world at the time of the Masters.
Yeah, it was a wild mark, wasn't it?
So he wasn't actually going to get in the Masters without the expansion. So obviously, taking that opportunity, gets into the Premier League, wins that. I think he might be a bit annoyed that the Premier League and the Masters are not ranked, but there we are. That's just how it is. The Premier League table then, after the first two nights, Johnny Clayton sitting top on 8 points, Peter Wright on second on 5 points, and then you've got Joe Cullen in third on 3 points, and then everyone apart from Michael Smith on 2 points. 2 nights, you can't really look at the league table and say this is where it's going to end. But I think the top 3, I know it's too early to say it's 2 nights, but Johnny Clayton, Joe Cullen, and Peter Wright are probably the 3 best players in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think many people would argue that.
Yeah. And the bottom of the table, I'll just bring that up. I forgot to don't know why I took it off. But going into the tournament, people were in a lot of people's predictions were putting Anderson, Wade, and possibly even some people were putting Smith in the bottom 3. Do you think it's just a case of getting that first win for Smith and then for Wade and Anderson? Because I think Van Gogh and Price will get further wins. Do you think it's just getting that first win in the quarterfinal, then take that onto the semi-final and just see how the night goes?
Yeah, look, I just think right now, I genuinely don't see James Wade winning one of these events. Like I said, just because I don't think he's got the scoring phase to trouble them. The others have all got that big scoring game where they can go and win one from anywhere. So sadly, I think Wade does finish bottom of the pile.
Yeah, I think Wade was always going to be in there because he was the world number 4. But I think there was a lot of sort of comments on Twitter and stuff saying that maybe if he wasn't in the top 4, does he automatically get in? I think he does get in because he was a UK Open champion, and he's
well. It's not like you have to win something, don't you? Win a major.
Not if you listen to Matt Porter.
But saying that, what Boston did he?
Yeah,
after he won the, I think it was the Hooping Championship or something else. So it's like I think people were comparing that Rob Cross wasn't in it because he won the Hooping Championship, and after that he was slowly getting back to his bets. But I think one of the reasons for it is probably the order of merit, isn't it? Like James Wade, he's world number 4, and I think the top 4 was automatically always done being it. Obviously, with this U format, I think it's always been that way. So, but I do understand people like why they don't want Wade in it, but he did win the UK Open last year, didn't he? And he did have the tournament ones as well. So,
yeah, as Matt Porter said, there's no majors. There's just premier events and televised events. Okay, Matt. On to Belfast then, Northern Ireland. I'm looking forward to this one. If you look at the draw bracket, there's a couple of sort of games in there that are big for players. You look at Michael Smith, we're thinking about him needing a win. He's taken on a very, I don't know what to say, because Gazzy, like Phil said, Gazzy is coming back to his best. So if he goes on to win this with 100 plus average, I won't even be shocked. Like the whole night, I won't even be shocked. It's just what Gazzy can do if he turns up on his full form. But would you say Michael Smith Price is sort of the biggest game in that, Chris? Because Michael Smith does need to pick up a win, and Gazzy has got a bit of fire in his belly. That's definitely not the player I would want to play if I needed a win.
Yeah, you would say so, wouldn't you? I think it could be big. I think it could be crucial for Michael Smith this early on because we're heading into night 3 now. First 2 nights not done to plan for Michael Smith. Doing Price, getting back to his bets, as we saw on the Pro Tour. And but I wouldn't rule out. I think on paper you would still say Anderson, Peter White as well, because both players. But I think all games are interesting now in this penalty format.
Yeah. So from the quarterfinals, Chris, I want you to. I'm not going to jump to the semi-finals. I just want you to give me a final, and then who you think wins the Belfast edition or night 3.
I reckon Mike Van Der and then Johnny Clayton as the final.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard to pick a winner. I'm going to go for Mike Van Der to win.
I've gone different. I'll tell mine in a minute. But Phil, is there any shocks in there, or can Michael Smith get to a final, or do you think it's going to?
I'm trying to remember what I said in the live lounge last night. I went for the all Welsh final, but I went for Gezi to win.
Oh, that's exactly my prediction. I think Gezi turns up. The only reason I'm saying that is because, like you said, in the Players' Championship, he was close to being back to his best, and I think he's away. He's not in an English crowd. I don't know what the Irish fans are going to be towards Gezi, but
I do think there'll be some boos for Durham Pride cards. I think we mentioned it earlier, didn't we? Pantomime for him, but
yeah,
I don't think it'd be as bad in my opinion. Hopefully not, in other words.
Well, I was looking at obviously for our next point of the podcast was the Pro Tours, and I was looking forward to potentially getting 2 names or 2 pictures, but I didn't need to because the Rockstar cleaned up. He won both of Players' Championship 3 and Players' Championship 4. He is like Phil said, he is in a really good place at the moment, Joe Cullen, and it doesn't look like he's going to get stopped at the moment.
Yeah, unstoppable at the moment. It just shows what winning the Masters can do for you. Johnny Clayton, bit of sample. This momentum, confidence thing, isn't it? And I'm not saying Jordan probably will do the same as Clayton.
We said that about Clayton, mind. We did say that about Johnny Clayton.
But saying that, Jordan might as well take his face mask off, and it's Johnny Clayton behind the mat.
Yeah.
The way it's going on. But yeah, he's unstoppable at the moment, Jordan. And he is one of the best players in the world at the moment. Even though I said Johnny Clayton is probably the best in the world at the moment on form and what's happened recently. And but yeah, he's unstoppable at the moment, and I have to see it continue for Jordan. He is a nice guy, so
yeah. More away from obviously I can't speak. More away from the obvious winner of Joe Cullen for both Pro Tours. It was good to see certain players get back to either get back to their getting into the latter stage of the tournaments. But it was nice to see some of the new tour card holders as well prove their worth. George Killington done pretty well, not pretty well, done very good. I thought even Connor Scott as well. I think he got to either a quarterfinal or a semi-final. Semi-final. Yeah, and already these players are probably got Minehead and the world's in their sights already, getting these early wins in the Pro Tours this early on in the year.
I think Connor. I think Connor's in the WDF. I think WDF Worlds or. But yeah, apart from that, they have got Minehead and the world's in mind. So yeah, over to Phil. Sorry for interrupting.
I was just going to say that for the new tour card holders, if you want to keep your card, you have to get to the worlds both years. Otherwise, you have to go deep in a lot of other things. So always a priority: get to the worlds on debut. Both made really, really good starts. And it was nice to see Steve West winning games as well after a difficult 2 years as well. That was one that stood out for me as well.
Keegan Brown as well, obviously, with the job that he has, it was good to see. But yeah, when you win your tour card, the most important thing is just keeping it, keeping that momentum, that you got from Q School. I think Jules Van Dongen had a few, decent days as well. Someone that Chris really likes to wax lyrical about. Seems like a very good player, I must say, after watching him throughout the Pro
To be
Tours.
fair, I had to ask you about all the bloody American players.
Well, one that you
there
might
is
be able to wax lyrical about is Danny Baggish.
I mean, the USA's got 30 players coming, haven't they? And Jules Van Donden. There's Tevin Uke, who will be playing in the WDF. So I don't want to chintz it. I don't want to chintz it and do a Jeffrey DeSwan from that year, who asked everyone's been one to watch.
Well, Jeffrey actually did qualify for the Euro Tour as well, which was massive for him. Going on to the Euro Tour, I've actually got a proper graphic that we can get for the Euro Tour. But there was 2 Euro Tour qualifiers in Wigan for Euro Tour 2 and Euro Tour 3. Just looking at the list then, any standout names for you, Chris? Obviously, no James Wade in either of them, which, is quite, definitely shocking for me.
Yeah, I think James Wade's obviously the biggest shot out of that. Yeah, not on that yet, so to say.
Yeah.
Because you would think he would qualify for almost everything. You would think, but maybe the Prem League has a part to play on it. Like, you're playing these Pro Tours, you know how difficult it is. Like, you got the Prem League one night, then the day after you're playing on a European Tour card qualifier, and
then you got 2 Pro Tours after that.
I do think James Wade's one of the biggest shots out there.
In terms of the other side of the spectrum, just want to get this out there. Danny Baggish, I believe I'm right in saying this is the first American to qualify to play on a European tour. So massive achievement for Danny Baggish. Another one, like you said, who won his tour card last year, needs a big year. I think he does need to qualify for the Worlds. Like Phil says, if you're a new tour card holder, you need to qualify for the Worlds in your 2 years. He didn't qualify last year, unfortunately. But if you can qualify this year, obviously a first round defeat gets you $7,500 anyway. So that's a lot of money that he can then hopefully build on from next year in terms of retaining his card. But Phil, is there anyone on there that you would sort of really look at that you didn't expect, or pleased to see there?
Martin Lukeman has been in absolutely inspired form at the start of this year, both here and on the Pro Tour. So really good to see him there after winning his card last year. Like we say, he didn't have the best of first years. It was okay without pulling up trees, but he's left himself work to do to keep that tour card. So big for him to qualify for both. And Jeffrey Deswan and Max Hopp qualifying for ET3. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and John O'Shea as well. I know a lot of people have really set their
not John O'Shea, the footballer, by the way.
No, he's bloody. Well, no, but let's not talk about Man United at the moment.
Good point.
But yeah, there are some interesting names in there, like you said. A lot of not a lot, but a few of the new tour card holders like Mario van den Boogaard, obviously George Killington as well. George
good to see Van Pia in there as well.
Yeah, he had a tough year last year, I think, with things off the dartboard, to be truthfully honest. But there we are. That's all that we've got for the fifth episode of the podcast. We are going to put it to any potential questions that you may have, but we have got one question that was in there at the very, very start of the stream. It was about quite a long time ago that someone put it in there. Craig's questions for the panel. Should recent tour card winners at Q-School get automatic qualification for the Worlds? And should they stick to men qualifiers qualifying for the Worlds instead of 2 women along with 94 men?
For me, shouldn't be put straight in. Should have to qualify like everyone else.
Yeah.
It's just a gimme. We've been very critical of backdoor entries to the Worlds if you're a tour card holder. Anyway, so not for me. And I think the women in it are a breath of fresh air. I'd quite like to see 4 instead of 2. I'm sure long term that will happen. But for me, the women have to stay.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, can't say anything better apart from that. I think I'd like to see more women in there because they are obviously part of the game now, game, and like I said, I think they are professor. Even though some people in your comments are a bit biased,
with a certain woman, mentioning no names.
But yeah, I'd like to see more women in there. Because the women that are missing out, Suzuki,
Headman,
CCW, and probably trying to think of other ones.
Headman.
Yep, the Headman, dud on her day. So
I actually agree with 4. Actually, when Phil says 4, I would like to see sort of 1 in each section. 1 for the first section of the draw, second section,
very true,
third and fourth. Yes, they may not get through. Obviously, Lisa and Fallon didn't get through this year or last year, but just have 1 in each section of the draw. I think would be a nice touch actually.
And I agree with the Tartar bit as well. They should need to qualify, in my opinion. Same with the others.
Yeah, I don't think you can have someone come straight in just because they've qualified through Q School. Yes, that's something very hard to do. Go through Q School. It's a long sort of graph to get through that format, but you shouldn't have an automatic entry.
And the qualifiers for the Worlds are there for a reason as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you get the end of year World Championship qualifiers, and then that's why you get the obviously the Pro Tour, getting in through the Pro Tour anyway.
Because, for example, it wouldn't be fair on, let's say, Nolan Seiden, for example, from the Philippines, if he did something and knocked one of them out, for example. So
yeah. Well, I feel a bit sorry for Jeff Smith actually for the Worlds that just gone, because he was in the top 32 for the Pro Tour Order of Merit qualifiers, went to the Continental Cup, I think it was, won that, and then had Ross Smith in the first round. Would have had a easier tie in the possibly an easier tie in the in the tournament rather than Ross Smith, who Ross Smith is in a very good place as well himself. Like his darts, by the way. Ross Smith's new darts are absolutely beautiful. Talking about darts, the last thing I wanted to bring up actually, Peter Wright in the Pro Tour, something that I actually didn't know until I got my knowledge on this the other day, but I think it was something like he had the straight barrel or the black changed during his 9 practice darts, played 9 legs with 1 darts, and then changed for the rest of the match with those with the bomb, like the awkward ones. Peter Wright's got a habit of doing this, but
it works for him now, doesn't it? It's working for him.
I don't get how you can.
He ends up winning tournaments.
I don't get how you can be successful with darts but not use them because you don't like using them. When I play darts, I average about 60 playing with the same darts. I wouldn't change just because I don't like the other ones. It's just not something you do. But thoughts on Peter Wright changing his darts, Chris? Because I know you've been a strong advocate for why the hell he does it. Basically, is what I'm going to say. But yeah, again, that just takes it. That just takes the ultimate. The Mickey. That's Mickey taking.
Yeah, I think must be the only player who's done it in darts, probably in darts history, from what I remember. And yeah, I mean, a house tour would be good to see his house, wouldn't it? With the amount of set of darts.
Well, when they'd done that video after he won his first world title, I think it was when it was filmed in his man cave, and he had that box with all just like loose darts and everything.
Yeah, I think he had plus darts, didn't he? That I think he practiced with or something. And yeah, but I think the only player it works for is probably Peter Wright. Peter Wright, he said it after every match, doesn't he? Them dull darts he played with, and them dull darts that won him the match play, for example. And I think it was the Players' Championship finals as well.
Yeah,
he's even said after that. He always says after the match, I don't like them. I think he says that with every Darcy appearance.
Yeah, he just says I get bored of using them, just as it is. But it's been an absolute pleasure, like I say, bringing you basically the best of the week in darts. I think there's not much happening this week. I know we've got the Premier League Thursday. There's no weekend action, I don't believe. So next week's podcast will basically probably just be the Premier League. But first of all, a massive, massive thank you to Phil. We're not going to keep you too long. We're not going to keep you here on keep you without your will. But first of all, an absolute pleasure, and thanks for joining us for this podcast, mate.
No, not a problem at all, guys. Pleasure to come on.
Thank you. Go and check out Online Darts. I didn't get to watch the live league, so I'm going to have to watch that later on.
I think it's on Thursday, isn't it?
It started today.
Oh, it starts there.
Yeah. But
don't
anyway,
days messed up there.
Don't, because I've got to watch Man United in an hour or so. Not looking forward to that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Phil. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. Definitely have to catch up with something soon. But thanks for coming on.
Not a problem at all, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. That was Phil Baz from the Online Darts. Absolute pleasure getting him on. I will go through some of the comments that we may have missed, but first of all, how sound was he?
Yep, very sound. Definitely one of the best out there. One of the best pundits out there. But on certain people. So I just have to.
We'll get into that.
There.
64 cut. Take two. Right, we'll go through some of the comments that we definitely missed, but I don't. So sorry, I don't mind missing comments when you've got someone privileged like that to have on. Iron Force says good afternoon. Well, obviously evening. Special guest Philip and everyone else. Michael says Colin is 8-1 to win it Thursday. Great price considering his form. 6-5 to beat MVG. Also great value. Into says evening guys. Iron Force says from an American perspective, professional steel tip darts should be where the PBA is. Professional bowling. Too many sports channels to not be televised similarly. Yankee says, hey guys, landed a celebrity guest. Nice. I'm not going to blow smoke up his ass, but yeah, very, 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 very.
Pure trumpet off his backside.
Yeah, there are no majors. That's right. There's no majors, just premier events and televised events. As Matt Porter says, Wade is doing his thing and seems he didn't want to go to Germany. The Scottish flag is already in round 2, yeah, because Peter Wright, Garrins and take it on each other. Just like the live league, whoever wins the first match hits the last double of the night. Michael Kelly also says Callum Ridge was very disappointed at the weekend. Looks like he hasn't carried forward his Wolves form onto the Pro Tour.
See, this is the thing.
It can go either ways. It can go either ways. You can carry it on, or you can drop off. Not drop off, but
Stephen Bunton, prime example.
Danny Baggish really needs to show up this year. I thought I said slow up this year for a second, but yeah, he does need to show up this year. Iron Force says Connor Scott has shown some talent already.
He should be in WDF. I think he's too good.
Great to see you guys collaborate. Look, yes, I love doing it, but it's a massive pleasure for Phil for coming on. I'm definitely going to drop him a kind message after this because he didn't need to do that. Taking time out of his life was very, very appreciative, unbelievably appreciative, and it was great to talk to him. Has already which other 4 girls would you put in? No, I'd put 4 in total. So the 4 that I'd probably back to get in would be the 2 that were already in it, and then like me and Chris and Phil said, probably Suzuki and Headman would be the other 2 that get in. All for women making more money, more exposure and playing the fellas, but there's a women's tour and should be a men's tour. We basically have that this year with the Pro Tour because there's no women on it. It's that program says Leicester Till I Die TV. Chris, go check him out if you haven't already. He's a top quality guy. And make sure to check him out when Leicester lose. That's when you can catch his best content. Into says, thanks, guys. More than welcome. And then Iron Force says, Matt Porter speaks as he does because the Players Association isn't what it should be. Not going to get into that because I don't want to cut my throat and ruin any chance of any future darts journalism. But is there any last, sort of points that you want to touch on? Anything we may have missed? We did say, obviously, James Wade and Sammy are expecting a new child. But I don't think I've missed anything else in the world of darts.
Also, yeah, that's also why James Wade probably didn't qualify as well. Could be distraction because I think Danny Noppert did the right thing at the Masters where his partner didn't birth.
Oh, that's something. Nathan Aspinall. I know there's a lot of people, including Chris, that really like the Asp. There is promising signs for Nathan. He's back into back throwing. So hopefully,
what's he got? A U arm?
Hopefully, we will see Nathan Aspinall at the Euro Tour in Germany at the end of the month. Yeah, 25th of February will be the international.
That's a strange one, isn't it? Even with the arm press he had on at the Worlds, I didn't even think he played that bad. He's just ran into the one opponents at the one time who were on top form.
Callan Ridge was absolutely unplayable in that tournament. He just genuinely was. Thanks.
Wasn't done against Joe Mernon, to be fair. He wasn't done, but he still got through that. But against Callan Ridge, I meant he wasn't too bad. Just Callan Ridge was just hitting everything.
Michael says, I won't spoil it, but Martin Adams was was awesome today in the live league. Man is a legend. I will definitely be watching that.
And there's a reason why he reached the final of the seniors as well.
Yeah, we're going to get onto that, Finley. Don't rush me, mate. We're going to get onto that. But like I said, it's been an absolute
someone's
pleasure.
A big fan of me. Pids are feeling this time.
Don't play it down, mate. Don't play it down. It's great to have fans. Certain Premier League teams won't know Man City, but we won't get into that. We don't want this conversation to totally go off on a tangent. But like I said, massive shout out to Phil for coming on, but even a bigger shout out to Chris for joining yet again. Episode 5 already. It seems like it's absolutely flying. I don't know about you. It seems like only yesterday we were talking about Q School. But thanks for joining me, Chris. And first of all, where can we find you? If this works. It does work. There we go.
If you do, well done. Find me on YouTube at Chris Wells. Should be in the banner. And find me on Twitter at Chris Wells CUFC.
I'm struggling to get the old format back on then. But yeah, massive shout out to Chris for coming on yet again. Massive shout out to everyone in the chat as well. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Catch me over on United TV in about an hour's time when I'm going to be doing my 2 hours of community service by watching Man United play Brighton and Hove Albion.
I won't be watching that. I'll be watching PSG first.
You're definitely not coming on at half time. I'll tell you that for certain. I
won't be watching the game, so
good.
I can't chance it.
I'm definitely watching PSG Real Madrid. I had my little rant on Twitter about not doing that.
Though. You are right about that.
Yeah. Michael says, well done, guys. A very good presentation. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, it's been an absolute blast yet again. Thanks to Chris. I will speak to you backstage as well. So do stay backstage so I can speak to you after that. But thanks, guys, for watching episode 5, episode 6 next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, same time, same place. See you then. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.